Hi yogis, welcome to my yoga time. I'm Nicole. Today's yin practice is going to be focusing on the whole body. So I will have a block for this practice, but if you don't have a block, you can always use a rolled up towel instead. And you might also like to place your mat near a wall. There's one pose in particular that some of you might choose to recline and take your legs up the wall, whereas others will stay seated. So when you're ready, let's begin. And we'll be beginning in our pigeon pose. So if you have no concerns with your hips or your knees, you can come into standard pigeon. So from tabletop, bring your left knee forward, knee behind the wrist, wiggle the foot across just a little, lengthen your right leg behind you. Now, if the hips are tight or you need support, you can always place a block underneath. And from here, we'll fold down. If you do have a block close by, just placing it underneath the forehead for support, or you can make fists or a pillow with your hands. Now, if this is not an option for you, for knee and hip concerns, you can always take a reclined option. So reclining onto your back and placing the left ankle on the right knee. Option to stay as you are, or if you've got a block close by, you could place the block underneath the foot, or even take a hold of that right leg. And if you're straining at all through the upper back and shoulders, place the block underneath the head for support. So settling into your variation of pigeon pose. And once you're there, closing the eyes, relaxing the forehead, positioning the tip of the tongue where the teeth meet the roof of the mouth, and keeping the jaw relaxed. Begin to breathe into the outer hip. And taking one last breath here. Yogis in a seated position, begin to press into the palms, coming all the way up. For those yogis who are reclined, simply changing sides. For seated yogis, you might like to press up into tabletop and extend that left leg behind you to counter stretch the knee. From here, we'll change sides, returning to tabletop, bringing your right knee forward behind the wrist. Extend your left leg behind you. Feel free to place a block underneath the hip if you're needing it for support. And in your own time, folding forward. Yogis who are reclined, placing their right ankle on the left knee. And you might even like to take chin mudra here through the hands, connecting index finger and thumbs. Otherwise, feel free to let the hands relax. So yogis who are reclined on your back, feel free to release the pose. Find your way up to seated. Those who are in standard pigeon, pressing into the palms, gently pressing up into your tabletop and extending your right leg behind you to counter stretch the knee. So coming onto all fours if you're not there already, keeping those knees underneath the hips and extending the arms out in front. So option to have your hands as wide as the mat, especially if you're tight in the shoulders. And if your forehead doesn't comfortably meet the mat, bring a block over for support. Option 2, you might like to bring those elbows a little closer, hands coming into prayer above the head. Begin to observe the breath, moving the upper body, creating space around the shoulders. And if your hands are in prayer, lower them down to the mat. Walking the hands back in, coming out of the pose. So our next posture is a wide-legged forward fold, and for some people they'll feel more comfortable taking this against the wall other than seated. So I'll take you to that variation first. If you know that you can't comfortably come down in a wide-legged forward fold, take yourself to the wall, bringing your legs up and then allowing them to come out as wide as they comfortably can, arms either above the head or by your side. Otherwise, if it is available for you in a seated position, and you might even like to elevate the hips here, sitting on a rolled up towel or a block. And when you're ready, we'll fold forward. Feel free to turn the palms to face upwards. You might like to even connect index finger and thumbs for chin mudra. As always, be careful not to overstrain here. Do not go to your edge. We're not looking for maximum stretch. Begin to breathe into the legs. Be with your breath. And if you're in a seated position, start to walk those hands back now as you come up. You might even like to help those legs come together. If you are on the wall, rolling to one side, and then bringing yourself up to seated. From here, we'll come down onto our stomach, finding your Sphynx pose. So just resting on those forearms. And if you need to lighten this pose, take those elbows a little further away. Otherwise, you can bring them in a little closer. Feel free to take those feet as wide as the mat, especially if your lower back is catching your awareness. Feel free to close the eyes down even here. Inhale and exhale. Let's lower down and roll onto your back. Just taking a moment with the knees bent, feet as wide as the mat, letting the knees fall into touch. You might even like to take the knees in the hands and rock from side to side. From here, lower those knees down, shift your hips over to the left as far as they'll go to the left side, and then straightening the legs and taking your feet over to the right side of the mat. If you want to go a little deeper, cross left ankle over the right, otherwise just resting the feet next to one another. If there's no discomfort in your shoulders, take your arms above the head and also taking them over to the right side of the mat. You might just let the hands fall naturally, hold on to the wrists or even opposite elbows. Be sure to keep your hips level. Left buttock is still on the mat. And taking your breath into the side waist. Taking one more breath here. If your arms are overhead, float them down, uncrossing the legs, shifting the hips, moving them over to the right side of the mat now. Legs straightening, taking your feet over to the left, and taking your arms over to the left. Keeping the right buttock on the mat. And begin to witness the breath, pressing those lines of tension away in the side waist, the outer hip. Uncrossing the legs if they're crossed, lower the arms back down. Bring the body back into the center of the mat. Soles of the feet connecting, allowing the knees to come out to the side. Arms can be by your side or above the head. And if you need to support the knees and hips here, you can always place your blocks or your rolled up blankets underneath the legs. Inhale, bring those knees to center. Lower the arms down if they're above the head. Pressing into the feet, lifting up the hips. And if you have a block, placing it underneath your tailbone, otherwise your rolled up towel. Feel free to keep those knees bent, or if it feels okay for your back, you can straighten and relax the legs. Again, arms can be by your side or above the head. Observing the body rising and falling with the breath. Bending those knees now if the legs are straight. Pressing into the feet as you lift the hips, removing your block. When you touch down, just taking those feet as wide to the mat as wide as the mat once again. Knees falling into touch. And preparing for your twist. You can straighten your right leg and draw your left knee into the chest. Take your left knee over to the right. Feel free to place your block underneath the knee for support. Breathing into the lower back. Inhale, coming back to center and changing sides. Left leg will straighten, draw your right knee in. Twisting over to your left. Notice if you're holding on anywhere. Where can you let go? Relaxing the buttocks, the hips. Inhaling back to center, moving into Savasana, straightening the legs, taking up as much room on the mat as you need. Arms by your side, palms to face the ceiling, shoulders tucking under. And letting the eyes roll back. Tongue and jaw are soft. And just be. And take as long as you need to here, yogis. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Have a lovely day. Namaste.